So yes, that's a factor that we keep into play. And then despite that, when you look at whether Kalan Jewellers or Titan, they managed to give a double-digit revenue growth this time around. Now in Q3 also, when you look at it overall for Titan, yes, slight bit of a miss was coming in terms of the operational update from the analyst estimates. Analysts were expecting around 14% growth from Titan. It came in at around 12%. But yes, let's not forget there was a high base. So now finally they have formed a base coming in at this levels. The new business also saw very strong growth coming in, and total sales as well as store additions was also quite good. 111 stores is what the company added, but the analysts said that this was not what they were expecting. They were expecting more of a stronger and aggressive growth coming in from Titan. Now Macquarie also continues to maintain the outperform rating and given a target price of 3,250 for Titan. But when you look at Kalan Jewellers, look at the stock move that is happening. You know, Kalan Jewellers actually managed to see a record consolidated revenue growth of 13% coming in, witness improvement in terms of the margins of the company as well, and 3% uptick almost that we're seeing coming in Kalan Jewellers. Now, why the difference between Titan and Kalan Jewellers in terms of the stock move? Let's not forget in terms of valuation, Kalan Jewellers valuation is somewhere around 25 times. This is what I'm talking about, FY24 PE. While in terms of Titan, it's somewhere around that 50 times, around 50 times. So, you know, there's a big valuation gap between these two, and that is a factor that one should consider while looking at this as well.
Thank you so much for that, Vinny, for putting into context how were the numbers for operational numbers for the quarter going by for these gold jewelers or gold-related companies as Kalan Jewellers as well as Titan. Also talking about the valuations for both of them. But let's take this discussion forward with our experts today. Then we have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi joining us. A very good morning to you, Kunal, as well as Sharmila. Thank you so much for joining us on ET now. And Sharmila, let me come first to you. And if you've heard Vinny, she did mention about the valuation gap between Titan as well as Kalan Jewellers. While no doubt Titan has a tad bit missed those brokerage estimates when it comes to the revenue growth or even the store additions. But where do you see Titan headed from here on, or Kalan Jewellers headed from here on? Do you think the valuation gap will narrow now?
There is a possibility that it can narrow, but also I do think that one of the reasons why Titan has a better valuation is for a couple of reasons. One is, I think, you know, the kind of management pedigree that it has. It has proven itself through tough times as well. And I think also that they have other brands for them other than jewelry. And if you listen to this update that they've just given today, they have mentioned that it is actually some of their other categories, which are growing categories, which have grown far better than the jewelry, their mainstay business, which is jewelry. You know, in terms of fashion jewelry, in terms of fashion apparel, you know, all these are the kind of brands that they are also trying to grow along with obviously their mainstay watches as well as the jewelry brand. And a lot of store additions have happened here as well. So I think it's not, obviously I think, you know, as I said, that their main business is and main revenue does come from jewelry, gems and jewelry, but there you will find that they have other things going for them as well, and they have opened a number of stores in those categories as well. So I think it's my preference, as I said, you know, given the fact that valuations for Titan are higher than Kalan, would still be with Titan because I think their businesses will continue to grow. I was just seeing a pie chart where that the kind of business that weddings have generated over this month of December, that's been pretty humongous, and a big beneficiary of that is definitely jewelry companies. So I would prefer to go with Titan.
Still prefer to go with Titan despite the fact that the valuations which Titan is trading right now is higher than what Kalan Jewellers is trading at. But Kunal, coming to you, a very good morning. But clearly on the stock pattern, if we say in the past 6 months, Kalan Jewellers is already up 96%, while Titan gains is somewhere around 15 to 16%. At this point in time where we are seeing healthy Q3 updates coming in from both the companies, what will be your bet?
So I think out of the two names, I would probably prefer more of Titan rather than Kalan Jewellers because of the high beta nature of the stock, as well as the possibility of high volatility which may come along into the stock price in terms of price correction. Titan, on the other hand, I think the stock has come back towards its 200 DMA. Looks attractive as a setup, more stable of a chart. But then if I have to pick up a stock which is linked with gold prices, and I would strongly believe that it's a gold finance names which should actually start to perform exceptionally well from here on, and particularly the likes of Manappuram Finance, I think, which could be a strong mover on the upside. The stock is completing a very strong bullish pattern for itself. So other than the couple of names which you mentioned from the gold finance stocks, I think it's Manappuram Finance which would look very attractive, and the stock tends to have a very high correlation on the best phases of the gold rally as well. So I think that could also play out pretty well for the stock over the near to medium term.
All right, so that's the view coming in on Titan as well as Kalyan. But Kunal, let me just ask you one question then. If someone has already purchased Kalyan, and I already have a query from Neha, and since we are talking about this, so let me get this out of the way. Bought Kalyan Jewelers at 101. She wants to know whether she should book profit or hold for further upside for short term, 1 to 2 months.
So I think you can look to book profits over here. 125 is a resistance, major resistance for Kalyan Jewelers, and the stock seems to be struggling to break past about the levels at least over the last 1 month. So I think it's better to book out profits over here and then look to buy back again, maybe closer to 110 or below that.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on Kalyan Jewelers. But with this, viewers, it's time to slip into a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and then it's the time to take all your stock-related queries, so stay tuned.
Diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong. We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do. We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong. We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, Well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, a show where we get you all answers for your stock related queries. Remember that you can connect to us live. We are live on YouTube, Twitter as well as Facebook, or you can write into us on the WhatsApp number that will flash on the top of your screen very shortly. Do mention the name of the stock that you are looking to invest in. Also do mention the time horizon you're looking to invest in a counter, and if you already purchased, then do mention the buy price and the quantity. That will help our experts help you better. So we have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi as our experts today. And before we get started with your query, Sharmila, coming to you, brand new year, and what sort of equity positioning or a strategy should retail investors adopt in order to keep their wealth protected?
Well, I think that, as you said, rightly said, new year, and I think we must also not forget that 2024 will also be an election year for us. So 2023 becomes a very important year in that perspective, because you do see government spending pick up, and you do see a lot of, I think, which we will now start seeing as we move towards budget, more eyes towards creating jobs and improving infrastructure, etc. Because the big ticket moves are taken in this last year. Plus, let's not forget that we are coming out of a pandemic, so there would be, I think, as we are move towards this opening up phase, you will see more action on that front. So my focus as we go into budget and as we go into election year would increasingly be on infrastructure and cement and those kind of sectors. IT, I think, still remains a bit of a question mark, largely because we don't have clarity of what's happening in the US. I think that clarity will also emerge over this earnings season, so over this next month or so, because those stocks are also, they've corrected quite a bit. But clearly, I think the focus for me is going to be domestic consumption stories, infra as well as cement.
Okay, so you can be sector specific because the budget will be there in a couple next 1 month. So infrastructure is one theme that can be your bet for the coming times. But let's move on and kickstart taking all your stock related queries. And Kunal, coming to you, the first one that we have is coming from Venkat Rao. He has purchased L&T Financial Holding 1,000 shares at a price of 123, and he's been holding this share for the past 5 years. Going forward, what will be your advice? He's a long-term investor. Any any advice on averaging out, and he has another counter that is HDFC Life. He bought this at 740, currently at a loss. What will be your advice in both of these?
So I would suggest to average both of these stocks. I think they are at the cusp of a breakout. Now they're spending some time for a breakout over here. For example, HDFC, L&T Finance managed to come back towards 94, 95 the last I remember. I think in the second half of 2022, but then the stock had slipped from those 94 levels and now back below that 90 odd mark for itself. So which means it's taking some time to break out about that 90-95 mark, or maybe the 3-digit mark as well. I would believe that whenever that breakout happens, possibly in the next 3 to 6 months, you could see a very strong uptick which could come back into this name. Even for HDFC Life, with the insurance pack moving quite strongly, HDFC Life has been a big underperformer as compared to the other names like maybe an ICICI Pru or ICICI Lombard as well as SBI Life. So I believe that in that regards as well, the stock can play a good catch up. Both of these stocks are quality names. You can continue to hold on.
All right, just a quick note, Neha, we have answered your query on Kalyan Jewellers just before we hit that break. But next one is coming from KR Balan, and he has Jubilant Foods at 590 rupees per share, Gland Pharma at 2,850 rupees per share. Wants to know whether it makes sense to stay put with these holdings or look to move to another different category or set of names altogether. And the ones that he's thinking about is Federal Bank and Bharat Forge. Sharmila, do you think is the right strategy, move out of Jubilant Food, Gland Pharma, and instead park that money in Federal Bank, or even for the matter of fact Bharat Forge?
Two stocks, and this is a very complex theory, question, so let me break it down. Jubilant Food, I think you should continue to hold on to, because I do think that QSR as a segment, as well as Jubilant Food, the way the kind of numbers that they have delivered, the recent correction the stock has seen, as well as the strategy going ahead, everything sort of points me towards the fact that this stock could move higher than where it is currently. So here I would definitely recommend to hold. When we come to Gland, and I would say the entire pharma space, things are sort of not been as great as they were the last couple of years, because the tailwind of COVID and things like that has now moved out. So I think definitely he could switch from Gland. Either he moves to a better quality pharma name, and then coming to both the names, I think one was Federal Bank and the other was Bharat Forge. So I think Bharat Forge is a reasonable name. So you could probably shift from Gland Pharma to Bharat Forge. So that would be my advice, and continue to hold Jubilant.
Moving on, the next question coming from Satya Veni in Sharmila. He's holding Poonawalla FinCorp shares from a price of 330, currently at a loss, and another counter that he's not gaining much is Deepak Nitrite. He purchased this counter at 2390. He's a long-term investor, but just want to know, will there be any advice on averaging out? If yes, then at what price?
Oh yes, I think Poonawalla FinCorp, he just continues to hold what he has. I think we've seen that entire space correct. So Poonawalla FinCorp was a part of that overall correction that we've seen in financial sector names, as well as, even stocks like Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, those Bajaj twins have corrected. So everything within that space has corrected, but I think just continue to hold what you have. Let's see where this sort of shake up in the sector ends, and today it does seem that there is some buying, so continue to hold that. When it comes to Deepak Nitrite, I think there has been some kind of concern over their mainstay products, etc. While I'm not worried about the stock in the long term, I think you can continue to hold. But I think yes, possibly this could be a good space to average the stock a little. So buy a little bit right now and then again continue to hold. But both stocks are good stocks according to me, and you can hold them. But in terms of averaging, only average Deepak Nitrite.
Right. The next one that I have is coming from Sri Kutan, and this one's for you, Kunal. He has a PNC Infra, purchased at a level of 278 rupees per share. He purchased this stock for a period of 3 to 6 months. Now he wants to know what sort of medium-term target can he expect for this one, and is it a good strategy to look to book profit and then re-enter the counter at lower levels?
I think you can continue to hold on. The charts are quite attractive. The setup of volumes, in fact, the spread of volumes over the last 1 month is also very attractive, indicative that there have been fresh buying which has happened into the stock, and this buying could probably result into the stock moving up higher from current levels of 320 plus. So I would possibly expect maybe 340, 350 as a moderate target, but it all depends on how the trends shape up across the globe as well as for our indices as well. But I believe as of now, the chart setup are attractive, and if you are sitting in decent profits, you should look to hold on.
Okay, moving on, Sharmila, the next question is from Rakesh. He's holding 5,000 shares of Nalco from a price of 47, and the other counter he has and sitting at good profits is RAC, 3,000 quantity at a price of 97. What to do in both of these counters? Will it be an advice to book profits because he's a long-term investor, or you will advise to hold on?
Oh, Nalco I can definitely continue to hold. I'm afraid I didn't get the name of the other stock.
And the other one is RAC.
REC. REC, so what price did you buy REC at?
97 rupees.
97. I think here probably he could look to book profits if he wishes. But Nalco, overall, I think we are seeing good amount of momentum in metals as a space, and valuations there also seem reasonable. So continue to hold Nalco. I think you can probably book profit in REC.
This one is coming in from Nikhil Bhatt, and this one is for you, Kunal. He wants a technical view on Century Ply because he's looking to consider entering afresh in this counter. So he's asking, does it make sense to buy at these levels? Also, what sort of a prospect does it have for the next 4 to 5 months?
So price-wise, it's an attractive level. I think if I'm not wrong, it's come back towards 2022 lows where the stock bottomed out or took support, which was just on the 500 mark. I think 480, 500 has been the support for Century Ply over that time span of the last 1.5, 2 years for itself. So price-wise, it's attractive, but there's nothing which is major in terms of indicators. Neither oversold, nor there is major shift of volumes from being sellers to now start getting into an accumulative phase. So I'm not sure of the near-term price trends, what could emerge for the stock price. But yes, in terms of the level where the stock is, which has come back towards the major demand zone, price-wise, it's attractive. You can look to buy.
Okay, moving on. The next question specifically is for you, Kunal. Wiki has bought Ahluwalia contract at a price of 520. It's been 1 month that he entered in this counter. What will be your suggestion on this?
I would suggest to continue to hold on. It looks quite okay on the charts, even though it's been a bit more volatile than in the stock, which historically has been a bit more sideways. But I would believe that when the stock gets into a breakout zone, it has to grapple with a lot of change in terms of investor sentiment and behavior. So I think in that regards, the stock is doing fairly well for itself. I would suggest a hold for Ahluwalia contract. It's trading at 5, 10, 12 levels. And I believe the breakout happens, the stock can cross even the levels of 550 plus over the time span of the next 1 to 3 months.
All right, this next one that I have is coming in from Prashant, and he wants to know, wants a fundamental view on RPSG Ventures. He's already holding 200 shares at a price of around 524 rupees per share. He's saying, but the stock has not been moving above the 450 rupees per share mark after it saw the initial downtick. Now he wants to know, what should he do? Should he look to average? What's your take on this one, Sharmila, RPSG Ventures?
I'm afraid I don't track this.
Kunal, have you got a chance to check this one out on the charts, and what should Prashant do with it?
No, I think you should look to exit it. So there are two concerns over here for the charts. Extremely low volume stocks. So for example, on a day like today as well, the average volumes on NSE is just 3,500, 600 shares for RPGS Venture. And the other way to look at it is the stock has been struggling below the 200 DMA more than the last 1 year. I think somewhere in start of 2021 is where the stock had broken below the 200 moving average, and it's been struggling to come back above this level. So selling on low volumes, no participation into the stock price, and the stock drilling below the long-term averages indicates a sell.
Okay, Sharmila, the next question is from Pavan. He is holding Bector Foods, 80 shares at a price of 533. Currently at a loss of around 100 rupees per share, but he is holding this counter since IPO. Need the short-term view on this, and if it's a hold right now, then what price he should look at?
Well, I want a short-term view, but if he's interested in a long-term view, he can continue to hold the stock.
Okay. This next one that I have is coming in from Seema Kunal, and she's bought 200 shares of Westlife at a price of around 549 rupees per share. Wants to know what to do. Does it make sense to continue to hold or book profits? And also, if you suggest to hold, then if you could give some stop loss and targets for her to look at.
I think you should continue to look to hold for Westlife and possibly keep a weekly based stop loss into the stock, because over the last at least over the last 4 or 5 months, the stock has not been able to break below its 15-day exponential moving 15-week exponential moving average, and that has acted as a major support as well as a turning point for Westlife over the medium to long-term charts. So I think looking at the chart setup, and that level comes closer to maybe 745 approximately on the spot level. So you can keep a trailing stop loss of say 740 on Westlife and continue to hold on.
All right, so that's the take coming in on Westlife. But on that note, we slip into a quick break on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. But when we come back, we will continue with taking your queries. So viewers, don't go anywhere.
आग को फैलने से रोकना सब साथ बढ़े. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible.
Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, and taking a look at the markets. Nifty is now up around 260 points at a day's highest points, and Bank Nifty is also flaring in green with the gains of 420 points as of now. But let's get back to taking your stock queries. In Sharmila, the next question is from Sandeep. He bought 750 shares of BEL at a price of 102. He wants a short-term view on this. Would you be able to help him with this?
Well, honestly, this again are not. First of all, I don't give short-term views, and this, according to me, this is not a stock which you should be looking at from a shorter-term perspective anyway. I do like this stock at this level. My target would be closer to 135, 140, but I think he needs to be a little patient and stay invested.
This next one is coming in from Dikshita, and she wants to know about Goodyear, if it's a good stock to be accumulated at current levels. Kunal?
Yeah, I think it's an okay stock to hold on to it. I'm not sure to accumulate at current levels, but then I think at current zone of 1110, 1115 approximately for the stock, it's come back towards, I would say, a decent breakout zone for itself. Potentially, maybe at 1200 could be seen as a near-term target for the stock price, but I don't see any major visibility beyond that for the stock.
Okay, moving on, Sharmila, the next question is from Praveen. He is holding 10,000 shares of Cafe Coffee Day at an average price of 53. What to do at these levels? He is at a loss right now, so what will be your advice?
So this has been a company which has been through fire literally, and I would think that it is just maybe a couple of months ago when one has started hearing some sort of positive news flow for the stock and business getting back on track. I think it might be best to just stay invested and track the stock for another couple of quarters before taking any decision, especially since he holds a reasonably large quantity of shares.
Right, this one is coming in from Satya Kunal. He wants a technical view on Voltas and he wants to know if he can buy now for the short to medium term.
Yeah, I think looks attractive on the charts, trading or just on the verge of breakout above its 50-day moving average. So over the last 3-4 months, what had been plaguing for Voltas was the stock struggling to hold above the 50-day moving average. So I sense that if a breakout happens about this level, the 50-day moving average, which is at 829, stock price is at 821 approximately. So maybe another 1% higher from current levels is where we can see a strong round of short covering for Voltas, and that could probably lead the stock back towards 850, 860 plus mark as well for the near term. So near term charts look attractive, would suggest a buy.
Okay, Sharmila, the next question is from Bharat and he wants to know the fundamental view on Piramal Enterprise. And post the demerger, we are seeing the stock consolidating right now. So he wants to know, is this a right time to buy this counter?
Yes. I think that, given the fact that they have now diversified, separated the two companies, and now you're looking at this entity, which is sort of a larger NBFC sort of play, and if you don't have exposure to it, now could be a reasonable time to slowly start buying.
Okay, this one is coming from Dhananjay Sharmila, and for the next 3 years, he wants to know how does Aarti Industries look to you, especially after the demerger?
Well, yes, I think it's a reasonable stock and he can continue to hold it.
Okay, Sharmila, Narayan wants to know that is this a right time to enter Granules India? He's a long-term investor.
So Granules was again, one of those beneficiaries of, COVID, which we spoke of earlier, because they are like into that ibuprofen, paracetamol sort of business. Coming to whether he can continue to hold it at this point, yes, I think so. Valuation seemed reasonable, earnings have been good. So yes, I think he can continue to hold Granules.
Right. This one is coming in from Indumati, and Kunal wants to know whether she can enter Cummins India at current levels for a positional trade, and also what should be the target and accumulation levels.
So yeah, I think you can look to buy or hold on to these stocks. Cummins, I think specifically has gone into a bit of a corrective phase and then bounced back as well from the key moving averages. I think the last couple of days or couple of weeks, many of these so-called cap good names, they've gone into a correction, and some of them have made a good comeback for itself. So I think Cummins could also be an interesting stock in that regards. You can look out for the previous swing high, which is I think 1520 plus as a target for Cummins over the near term, and stop loss for this trade you can keep it closer to 1375 mark.
Okay, Sharmila, Umesh Gupta has bought shares of Adani Wilmar at a price of 750. So currently he's sitting at a loss, but he can still wait for the next 1 to 2 years. Will that be advisable? If yes, then any targets in mind that you have?
So I think after quite a number of queries, I've finally got a stock that I do like. Yes, I think you can continue to hold Adani Wilmar. This is a business that I like. I do have a recommendation on Tata Consumer as well. Now we've heard that Reliance is also entering this space. So I think what you must understand is that large business houses are trying to enter into a space where they see scalability, and this business is exactly one of those. So if you have a long-term view, it will work in your favor. So my advice would be to stay invested.
Okay, this one is coming from KJ Singh, and this one is for you, Sharmila. He's saying if one has to hold a particular counter for the long term amongst Pfizer, Abbott India and AstraZeneca, which one would you pick?
All three are good names, but I think that there can be a case made for being invested in multinational pharma companies, because there you're only looking at your domestic business. You're not looking at what they're making overseas, etc. Because we have seen where the rest of the pharma space is concerned that business is getting affected in US because of erosion in prices, etc. When molecules go off patent and all that. So a lot of pharma companies have restructured themselves as well. They're getting more into specialty chemicals, etc. Then you have that whole US FDA inspection. So these companies, like a Pfizer or Abbott, is doesn't have to deal with that, but they are looking at what the domestic market is. So within the two, I prefer a Pfizer, but I think Abbott is also a good name.
Kunal, the next query is on Adani Green. The viewer name is also Kunal, and he has bought Adani Green shares at a price of 2,061 rupees. He's a short-term investor, wants to know, is this a good time to average out this counter? He's looking to stay invested for the next 6 months.
No, I would not suggest to average. There's no there's no signal as such from the indicators, whether it's the momentum indicators, whether it's the oscillators, that the stock could get into any kind of a reversal. The only comfort sign for Adani Green, at least over the near-term charts, is that the stock is just hanging around the 200 and the 50-day moving average by a margin of 5-7% odd from the longer-term averages. So I think that's the only comfort which is there in the stock price, where the volatility is missing and the stock is consolidating. So as of now, I would still believe that the consolidation may continue for some more time. So would suggest not to average at current zone.
Okay, this one is coming from Purnima, and she has 200 shares of, okay, she's not mentioned the stock name, so let me give that a skip. This one is coming from Richa, Sona Comstar. She has it at a level of around 526 rupees per share. She wants to know whether it makes sense to add at current levels for the long term. She wants to know fundamental analysis of Sona Comstar, and to add to that, she also has grease cotton. So Sharmila, what should she do with Sona Comstar? Do you think fundamentally makes sense to stay put with this holding? Because we've seen the stock price actually take a knock, and quite a deep knock. So what's your take on this one?
I think the results have been fairly decent. So my recommendation would be to continue to hold Sona Comstar. I think that here you could see an appreciation from current price. My target would be closer to 510. So I think, yes, definitely continue to hold Sona Comstar. Greaves cotton, I'm not so positive on that. Maybe, I mean, numbers have also been sort of okay, and the space is a little sort of sluggish and slow moving. I think they make textile machinery and engineering equipment, etc. So here again, I think you can continue to hold because valuations are okay. But between the two, if you ask me, I prefer a Sona Comstar.
Okay, moving on, Sharmila, let me take the next one from you. Venkat Jala is holding 100 shares of Godfrey Phillips at a price of 1800. So currently at a profit, and he's a long-term investor. So he wants to know, is this a good time to book profits in this one and switch to Amber Enterprise? What will be your advice?
Well, Amber Enterprise is a good stock. I do like it, but one is a cigarette tobacco company, and Amber Enterprise is air conditioners and that business. So that way there is no similarities. Ideally, he should try to have both stocks in his portfolio. Why should it be either or? So he can continue to hold Godfrey Phillips, and possibly when he wants to buy something fresh, he can slowly start entering Amber Enterprise.
All right, this one is coming in from Rajesh Maheshwari, and he's writing to us from Indore, and his query is on IDBI Bank. He has about 320 shares of IDBI Bank, which he purchased at the price of around 60 rupees per share. But the most amazing part is that he bought this stock 10 years ago, and he wants to know whether it makes sense to buy some more of these shares, given the fact that we are going to see the divestment take place. What's your take on this one, Sharmila? Because I have to give it to Mr. Rajesh for the fact that he's been pretty patient with IDBI Bank. We know the trouble that this particular bank ran into, and from there on, what a comeback this one has made. But nevertheless, do you think it's advisable, keeping in mind the divestment story that is going at play for IDBI Bank, to buy some more of this stock?
So, as long as he's at the stock, I think probably the divestment story also has been going on for that long. So that is the tragedy. But one hopes that very soon you will have a suitor for IDBI Bank. So I would really advise him to wait and see what clarity emerges out of this whole thing. That who is the buyer for IDBI Bank? At what price? What does that mean in terms for the existing shareholders, etc., and then take a call. I don't think you need to be in a hurry. Let's just wait and hear what for more clarity to emerge on who the interested parties are and who the buyer could be.
Kunal, the next question is from Sheshma, and she's holding two counters. Firstly, it's ABSL. From a price of 600, she's holding this one, that is Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC, and the other one that she has is BPCL from a price of 510. Currently at a loss in both of these counters, wants a short-term view for the next 3 months.
So I would not recommend a buying or an averaging for ABSL as of now. Maybe if the stock crosses 485 levels, that could be a point where you may look to average out the stock. It's trying to get into a recovery phase, but I would just wait for maybe one more confirmation. And once that happens for ABSL AMC, then we can look out for higher targets of maybe 550, 600 plus as well. So that first level of a breakout, which is 485 plus, has to be taken out. But on the other hand, I think BPCL could be interesting. The entire OMC pack is getting into a very good breakout mode. BPCL has come back above its 200 moving average after months of trading below this long-term average. IOC, HPCL, these stocks have also made a very good comeback. So there seems to be a start of a new trend into these names. So I would suggest to average BPCL. For ABSL, you can look to average above 485 mark.
Okay, but with this, it's time to slip into a short break, but don't go anywhere, viewers. We'll be right back and we'll be taking more of your stock-related queries.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल.
It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you.
We're Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on AET Now, and we have just the last 15 minutes of the show. So let's try and take as many queries as much as possible. And Purnima has actually revised her query and sent it back to us. She has 200 shares of Manappuram Finance at a price of around 124 rupees per share. She wants to know whether it's good time to book profits and re-enter at lower levels. Wants to know what the strategy should be. Kunal, she's holding Manappuram Finance for the last 1 year.
No, I think you should continue to hold on. So I think you've been patient enough to hold on to the stock earlier as well. I think after a phase of correction, it's made a good comeback for itself. And as I said at the start of the show, that my expectations are that the gold finance names, they could do exceptionally well going forward if the gold prices starts to continue to move on to the journey on the upside. So I would expect Manappuram Finance to be one of the best performers, at least over the near to medium term. I would suggest a hold.
Okay, that's a hold on Manappuram Finance. But moving on, Sharmila, the next question is for you. It's from a viewer named Sandeep Kumar, and he's holding a lot many large cap names in his portfolio, but now looking to divert some funds in 3 to 4 mid and small cap companies. He wants to know your top picks from this space.
So we don't have any idea of which are the large cap names he holds.
Okay, he holds companies like Titan, TCS, HDFC, ITC, Vedanta, Airtel and Reliance.
Okay, great. So I think that's a fairly diversified portfolio. I think what you could add in the slightly smaller banks is you could look to add an IDFC First Bank for one. I think that their numbers are improving and they could move higher from current levels. Then I think probably you could add another financial services name. I think a little while earlier we spoke of Munawala FinCorp, or you can look to add M&M Financial. I think that could be a great name. And then again, I think earlier I was mentioning that I would like to play themes of infra and cement. So within that space, actually Ambuja Cement is a large cap, so we won't look at that. But perhaps you could look at an Ultratech Cement, or you could look in the infra space. You could look at a name like a Thermax or a Cummins, and hold these for the longer term.
All right, this next one is coming in from Panford Rodrigues, and he has about 250 shares of Tata Power, Kunal, and he's not really planning to sell, but his average buying price is around 204 rupees per share. So he wants to know, should he look to buy some more to average out, as and he can add a good amount, he will end up having a good amount of profit if the stock goes ahead and hits 290 odd levels.
So I think 200 is good level to accumulate Tata Power. Now, look at it this way. The stock had done exceptionally well in 2000 from 2020 lows. I think if I'm not wrong, the stock jumped up some 8x, 9x in a span of, 1.5 odd year. So after that, you could probably expect that the stock would consolidate for at least the next 1 to 1.5 odd year. So we've done most part of the consolidation. I think the second half, starting from second half of 2022, I would believe that possibly for another 3 to 6 months, the stock can continue to consolidate over here. But that would also mean that the stock price trend is extremely bullish. Now, when a stock doesn't correct sharply after such a kind of a steep rally and just goes into a time-wise correction, that itself is considered to be a very healthy sign. So I would be bullish on Tata Power. You can look to average sub the 200 mark, but I'm not sure whether the 290 mark which you're expecting could be met pretty anytime soon.
Okay, moving on, Kunal, the next question is from Vidya, specifically for you. She's a positional trader and been holding Laurus Lab at an average price of 493. But then, since the stock is not performing, so is it advisable to book loss in this one? What would be your advice?
Well, ideally, you should have booked loss, for Laurus Labs, quite a time back, because the stock was giving all the signals which is required for a breakdown into the stock price, whether it's a break below the long-term averages, swing supports, and multiple such kind of confirmations. But now at current levels, I would probably expect the stock to get into a minor recovery or a rally phase. The RSIs and such, the indicators have started to get into a mild upswing mode. So I think that could probably have a positive effect into the stock price. So maybe you may get a better exit point, say above 400 or 420 odd mark, could be a better exit point for Laurus Labs.
All right, with that, let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. And the first one is coming your way, Sharmila. This one is coming from Akshay, and he has Tata Chemicals, 300 shares, 502 rupees per share. Wants to know whether he should continue to hold on to it, or should he increase his stock holding?
Yes, he can stop holding. This is the stock I like.
Okay, Kunal, the next one is from Kiran holding Bajaj Finance from a price of 6,800. Wants to know the view for the next 6 months. Is that a hold or exit?
I would suggest to exit on rallies.
Rakhi has JK Lakshmi Cement at around 812 rupees per share. Should continue to hold or book loss, Kunal?
I would suggest to hold on.
Okay, Sharmila Chandrasekharan is holding 500 shares of Quest Corp from a price of 740, down 35% from now. And any fundamental view for the next 2 years?
We can continue to highlight this.
Okay, this one is coming in from Guts and he has 150 shares of Sterlite Tech at a price of 174 rupees per share. What should he do? He's a long-term investor. What's your take on this one, Sharmila?
Sterlite Tech.
Yeah, Sterlite Tech.
Yeah, I think you can.
Okay, Sharmila, the next question is from Anil. Bought LIC at a price of 750. Is that a hold or sell?
It's a hold.
Ramesh has Aisha Motors, Kunal, 6 months view. He wants 242 stocks at a price of 3,456.
You should look to average at current.
Okay, Sharmila, the next question is from Chandrasekharan. Wants to invest in hospitality shares like Lemon Tree, Indian Hotels, etc. Any name on your list?
Indian Hotels, Lemon Hotels, both look good. I think probably make a basket.
Okay, Akshan wants to know about Fino Payments Bank, Kunal, short-term view.
Excellent chart. I think you should look to hold on.
Okay, Rudrika wants to know, Kunal, the short-term view on Chambal Fertilizers.
I would suggest to avoid the stock.
Okay, this one is coming in from one of our viewers. Okay, A.S. Chandrasekharan, good to add ICICI Bank at these levels, Kunal?
Depends, if you're short, then yes. If you're long, then I would suggest to avoid.
Okay, Kunal, Mandikandin has bought shares of HDFC Bank at a price of 1,400. What will be your advice?
I think it's a good time to book out profits closer to that 1,600 plus mark.
Alright, and with that, we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as the query segment. Thank you so much, Kunal as well as Sharmila, for joining us on the show, talking about the gold retailers as well as resolving our viewer queries. And viewers, with that, we are totally out of time on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But remember, at Times Network, we are always looking to create investor awareness and make financial matters very simple for all of our viewers. And keeping up with our values, we present the second season of Nivesh Ke Fund. And on this edition, we take a deep dive into the world of index fund.
The pandemic has seen a number of Indians turn to the financial market to invest their wealth.
Yes, but many have wanted to follow a passive route of investing.
Absolutely. And they have been able to do so by investing in index mutual funds. But Aisha, how does one know if they are investing in an index fund or actively managed fund?
Well, it's quite simple. You know, index funds mimic a stock market index like the NSE Nifty 50 or the BSE Sensex. So your investments are only in the stocks that are part of the index.
And the investments are made in stocks replicating the same weightage that they have been in the index against which the funds are benchmarked. And since the fund manager just has to replicate the stock composition of the index, the expense ratio is quite low as compared to actively managed funds.
But Nikunj, while a low expense ratio is ideal, investors should also check the tracking error of the index fund before they invest in it.
Yes, a low tracking error shows that index funds returns relative to its benchmark do not vary much, which is a good thing.
You know, Nikunj, another benefit of investing in index funds is that investors get access to diversification.
Right. Since the index fund replicates the index, diversification is built into the system.
And if someone is bullish on the long-term prospects of the index, then an index fund is a very simple and easy route to stay invested towards that belief.
Investors can consider adding index funds to their portfolio, but only after consulting with their financial advisor.
That's all in this edition of Nivesh Ke Fund, where today we were talking about index funds. Stay tuned for more such investment insights.
We believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge. With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market.
The Wall Street shrugs off Monday blues to see a sharp recovery. Nifty is in fact strongly sustaining above the 18,100 levels, aided by IT and the public sector banking stocks. Broader markets also joined the party but underperformed the benchmark indices. Sensex for now sitting with a gain of around 950 points.
Technology stocks celebrate recovery on D Street, and the focus will shift to Q3 earnings season soon. TCS is expected to report muted revenue growth in third quarter on the back of several headwinds, including cross-currency and higher furloughs.
IDBI Bank divestment enters the second phase. The government receives multiple expression of interest. Sources say Prem Vatsa-led Fairfax Group and a Japanese bank are among the likely bidders. Physical bids have to be submitted by Saturday.
Titan loses the shine despite decent robust update for third quarter. Street could be concerned about rich valuation. Kalyan Jewellers shines after a similar performance with festive demand aiding growth.